seeing this one. Orange taking on Swidz in our third match of the day, and we've talked about Swidz a lot during the pre-show, and this is an interesting match for a number of those reasons. The first thing I'm going to mention is that Orange came off of a tweet I saw the other day where he's talking about his Warlock banned away. Okay, stop right there. That's the twist we're taking. Warlock banned away from Swidz. You can't see.
This is me politely interrupting Admirable by pointing at the screen.
That's a Murloc Warlock.
It worked. That's a win. That's the only way you can present that.
What the heck just happened?
Yep.
Murloc Warlock. I'm not kidding you. Go to playhearthstone.com/esports. You can see all the decks and stay up to date with the schedule there. Murloc Warlock. Like, not a joke. This is not a drill. He's actually playing that, and it's actually been banned away. I'm stunned.
I mean, I was talking about it right at the start. I think that I've told this story so many times where people keep saying to me, oh yeah, I've got this deck that's favored against Priest. And then I ask them, okay, how'd you kill a Nausea Cleric on 1? And they say, oh yeah, you can't do that. You can't kill a Cleric on 1. Well, then you're not freaking favored against Priest. That's just the reality of the situation. If you ask that question to Swidz deck that he's played in this week of Grandmasters with Murloc Zoo, you ask him, well, how do you kill Nausea Cleric on 1? He goes, Flame him, Toxfin, Murloc Tidecaller,
Coinfish Flinger.
Yeah, like, he has an endless list of ways that he can test Nausea Cleric on 1.
Banned away.
I think that deck actually made a decent amount of sense in a very, very polarized, priest-heavy metagame.
Woo.
I think against everything else, it's a lot worse than regular Zoo would be.
Extremities create circumstances. That's how metagame
But it's worked. We talked about it. We talked about it at length when people were getting their Highlander Hunters banned, their Mages banned, whatever the unique deck was in the situation. That's a win. If you can bring a deck that's slightly outside the box and it gets banned, that is a win for you.
Now, the other game is slow. I have time for the other points I wanted to make.
Go ahead.
Real quick, though, I want to point out that Orange's got his fancy Grandmasters jacket on. Love to see that. It's a nice jacket. It's got his name on the back. All the players have one. For Orange, he had tweeted out that this was, he feels, after a tournament victory this week, that this has been some of the best Hearthstone he's ever played in his life over the stretch of like the last year or so. And I think that was a big deal. Because I think he has been playing fantastically. He demonstrated one of the most picture-perfect games I've ever seen last week, taking on Silvername, where his Holy Wrath Paladin, he used the mana in a very unique way, and it opened him up to draw additional cards. And he turned that Paladin deck into a fight-for-the-board mid-range kind of deck, instead of the OTK that it normally presents. For Swidz in this one, these are all must-win matches, and Swidz continues to bring things that are against the norm. This week with his Warrior deck, he's brought in 2 Hecklebots to go in there. He's still got the Siamat that's introduced. Like, no matter what the circumstances, Swidz has continued to take risks every single week. And very much like I said about Viper, it hasn't necessarily worked out so far. But if it starts to work out, and here, the ban of the Murloc Zoo deck, that's already a point of victory in this matchup. He's able to capitalize. RDU just picked up a loss. That's a big one for Swidz.
Do you want to clarify, because you've said it a couple of times now, wasn't sure what I heard the first time. Orange did not win the Battle Rift tournament.
Did he talk about how he won it?
He got to the finals where he lost to Juristus, who won the tournament.
Gotcha. Apologies.
Yeah. But your reporting of his tweet is accurate.
Add the amendment to it and issue my public apology. I don't have a publicist, so there we are. Now, I got to go read it again because I want to figure out how I did that wrong. I was wrong about the Discover thing, too.
Power of the Wild is a card that's been met with some amount of controversy, from me at least, but we've actually been seeing more and more of it as Grandmasters has been going on, which is something that I wasn't really expecting to see.
It's like a dance back and forth, right?
I guess so, yeah. Orange's side now does have a pretty attractive looking Twilight Drake. Coming down as a 4/7. And now with that Luna's Pocket Galaxy in hand, he does have some element of long-term game plan here as well. Admirable and myself played a great deal of this matchup where it was Malagos Druid involved instead of just regular Quest Druid. and really, really struggled to find like consistent win conditions for the mage in that world. I think when the druid cannot just blow you up from hand on any given turn, Luna's Pocket Galaxy is a much more reliable win condition for the
Indeed.
mage.
Getting ahead with Oasis Surger was, I think, a big key to pressuring in the face of Luna's Pocket Galaxy.
Yes.
And I just checked. Just literally read it wrong. Apologies to Juristus. That one. He won the Battle Rift tournament. Well played.
Well played. I'm also never quite sure how soft or hard the J at the start of his name might be. Juristus? I'm not sure.
Need a key?
As an only English-speaking person.
Yeah, same. It's just I'd live a little bit closer geographically to the places that do have multiple languages. So
I don't know, Sonal.
Probably know a bit better.
I'm on the west coast of a different continent. This is a spot I've been eternally interested in, is actually killing a Crystal Merchant in this spot. We actually had this debate, this specific one about killing a Crystal Merchant.
We did, yeah.
Where your opponent's going to spend 5 mana and play Oasis Surger, or they're going to innovate and play Nourish. If they Nourish, they have too many cards. If they play Oasis Surger, they don't have any mana. We eventually panned it out to where Oasis Surger, and the way the board momentum works, is it's better to trade the Crystal Merchant.
Right.
You could seize the 4 face damage and kind of negate the aspect of the Crystal Merchant there. But what's the point? The board starts to snowball very slightly because of that 1/4 being present.
Yeah. And there's also just weird kickers. Like, we actually see one of them in Swidz's hand right now. Like, Swidz could choose to cycle and innovate in that position as well if he really wanted to.
Must be a way.
Is that good or bad for you?
Bad.
Okay.
The opponent opts to do something. I typically think that's bad.
Sure. You have often also talked about putting players in positions where they make mistakes.
It's a true story. I usually opt for that when I'm behind. Or even.
Or ahead.
Nope, when I'm ahead. When I'm ahead, restrict options.
Okay.
Semantic point, unless that option that you have is from hand burst damage, in which case let him make a mistake.
Okay.
Long story short, it's complicated.
He's still going.
However,
Does he ever stop? Oh, these Oasis Surgers. Oasis Surger into Floop is just so savage in terms of mid-game board control. Like, it almost doesn't matter how far ahead your opponent was if you have 2 Oasis Surgers and a Phlebidinous Floop in your hand.
yeah, I will say that Orange's the look on his face kind of tells you where he's sitting with this. Where that Luna's Pocket Galaxy is, it's out of this world right now. It is not happening. If you Galaxy, you're just going to die.
Yeah, I really want to, though.
I'm not taking 15.
Can I please?
1-5, 15. You're going to take 15. Go ahead.
Right. Okay, all right. We'll do the responsible thing.
Go ahead, see what happens. I double dog dare you.
So I think the reason I'm okay with not doing it, okay, apart from the compelling argument of you don't want to take 15, which I admit is very compelling, is that this is both Oasis Surges that hit the board right now and your opponent hasn't nourished. So most hands that they have do not develop a threat next turn, right? Because they don't have mana to play King Phaoris, they don't have mana to play Cenarius, and they're out of Oasis Surges unless they have a flooped Oasis Surger in hand. So the vast majority of the time they're playing like a 6/6 on the following turn. Like, that's about the biggest thing you can expect to come out. So on average, next turn, you have a much, much, much bigger window to play Luna's Pocket Galaxy without getting hurt.
Well, I got bad news for that.
Not happening. Well, no, it might. That 1 extra mana being blocked is actually vitally important.
Very reminiscent of the Frozen versus Counterspell Nourish at Bahamas in 2016.
I have no memory of what you're talking about.
Day 1, he got his Nourish Counterspell. Day 2, he Played around the counterspell.
That's right. Okay, yeah.
Learned the lesson.
Yep, I understand.
Got to Worlds because of it.
Behold, jewels of the sands.
The Innervate prior to Nourish. The Frozen circa 2016.
Stop trying to make these named plays happen.
Oh, I'm not trying.
It's not gonna happen.
It's doing.
Okay.
I am doing that. I'm seeing a Tortolan Primalist, and I am not seeing a puzzle box in the list for orange. That's a good risk to take. Only taking 7.
7 is a lot less than 15.
Unless...
13 is not a lot less than 15.
Yep. Well, buckle in. I'm thinking Caligos. That's not Caligos. It is, however,
Frost Nova.
And with Witchwood Piper, your whole deck costs 1 right now.
Yep.
Book of Specters. The relevant cards cost 1 right now.
You will happily just stop burning spells out of your deck so that you don't draw them on the next turn.
All right.
Yep, didn't need that.
Wow. I mean, suddenly this turn is looking quite good. Do you have the gas to fight back, though? Sitting at 9, almost full grip from Swidz' side. Stacked board. You have never wanted a puzzle box more in your life.
Also, it doesn't help that Tiamat is kind of ugly against this board state. The things that you really want to kill that have taunt are 5/7s.
Yeah, step 1 is some sort of Frost Nova thing.
Agreed.
Come dance to my song.
Oh, if only we had more time this turn.
I think it'll still be good, though. Like, your mana got occupied because you needed the Frost Nova, right? So the next turn is the key turn.
That's fair.
For orange. For Swidz, meanwhile...
Watch this Flame Strike come off the top and ruin everything.
Wait. Do you have anything weird here with, like, Starfall your own minion? Like, can you Starfall your own minion and play another Cenarius? You know there's no puzzle box in orange's deck.
Why would that? You're just saying put too many stats on board to be cleared? Sure.
If you Starfall there, obviously you're using another Starfall, you're swiping the other side. It's not that I think he should be Starfalling his own minion. It's just a thought.
It's just a cute play.
Is there a weird angle of attack?
Right. But I think, like,
where you overload stats.
This board, like, health, 5, 6, 7, 7, 4, 8, 4. Like,
it's already awkward enough.
Yeah, they, like, Blizzard, who cares? Flame Strike, who cares? You know, like, I don't think there's any reason to throw away the second Cenarius there.
Blizzard, you said it.
It's a good thought, though. I'm kind of sticking with who cares right now.
Well, orange cares.
Oh, sure, yeah. I said the big spell is going to come off the top and ruin everything, yes. I mean, the good news is when that happens, you drew a big spell that kind of limits the board space, right? So it's not even the worst case for orange.
Yeah, one of the concerns I'm having is that the Tortolan is becoming quite thin.
Flame Strike remaining?
Yeah, like if you draw the Flame Strike, that Tortolan is going to... That effect is pretty much going to go out to sail out the window. Calico Strawn. Not really much of consequence.
Nope.
Behold the tools
Sandbinder.
of creation.
That fetches Zephyrus.
Behold the tools of creation.
Do you need more minions? You're not going to clear next turn? I guess sometimes no, you're not going to clear next turn the position you're in. Yeah, okay, fine. Sign me up. I'm thinking about that way too defensively. Yeah, Wind Fury, Divine Shield. Orange can just threaten offensive Zephyrus on the following turn.
Man, I was kind of joking about Starfall on your own minion. It's starting to look kind of appealing now.
It looks better this turn, I'm not going to lie.
I think Wrathing your own minion's better. But my gosh, you got to start doing something.
Yep.
This is getting scary.
You got to kill that Tiamat. That thing's going to hurt.
You got to kill the Luna. You want to kill the Cal.
You got to kill the
Got to kill everything. This is a problem.
All right. The Sandbinder can live.
For now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting worried. I think Swidz might be in some trouble here. That's a lot of armor.
Armor isn't solving the problem right now.
Oh, it's a Band-Aid. I'll take it.
Orange has got the hand to just rip that Band-Aid right off.
Very weak outcomes on the Worthy Expeditions. There's a ton of health in play, though. And when you're talking about...
Right, but if he can do really, really weird stuff. Like, if he plays... Like, example of the first thing I see. If he plays Reno and deals 2 damage to the Cenarius, 1 to the 2 5/5s, he then plays Zephyrus and gets offered Flame Strike. The Flame Strike is free because it would be the first spell he casts that turn.
Are you getting offered Flame Strike anyway?
Maybe?
In
which case you then Flame Strike first and play Reno afterwards? Shadow Flame? Sure.
Blizzard?
I mean, Shadow Flame's a full clear, right? He's just going to Frost Nova again? Whoa.
I mean, the first spell was free, isn't... So that's the thing, is Orange is trying to set up a position where he has enough in play that he's going to win off the backswing. He's restricting... I think he's attempting to restrict the options for Swidz by purposefully leaving the board full. That's the only reason you would take Frost Nova, I think.
Okay. Yeah, those are big.
Huge outcome. Frost Nova stops the board. Voodoo Doll to set up. Did he execute enough in time? This is insane. Like, what the heck is happening?
Swidz took these crystal powers, I think, very specifically to have very, very cheap ways to take care of this board.
And now his own Zephyrus comes down. Is he going to wash away all this progress that Orange just made?
Yes, he is, because he just had... What?
Oh, it's just lethal.
Yeah, it just has lethal.
Touche.
In a million different ways.
So he's waiting for the Zephyrus to get active, and on the previous turn, he got active.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
I wanted the call out of him offering a silence for his own frozen minion to then go face and end the game, but we didn't get it. Unlucky. Admirable, you look so disappointed right now.
Well, the game started to come to this incredible climactic point. There was so much going on, I just forgot that Orange was at 5 health. There was so much happening in that game. Like, look at the board state. How did that happen? That's my thought.
That last turn was crazy, and I'm not 100% convinced there wasn't a world where, like, Zephyrus fishes magic lethal out of somewhere. Like, the fact that you have Zephyrus giving you a spell. Now, Zephyrus doesn't know the spell it's giving you is free, but the spell it's giving you is free. So, with that, plus Reno, plus all the other possible nonsense you can do that turn, there has to have been something entirely nutty. And like,
so it's at 50.
I know, like we know. I mean, when I say lethal, I'm kind of being facetious. Like something that just ridiculously like clears the board, game over. My board is massive. Wouldn't have changed the outcome of this game because we still see Zephyrus into Fireball end the game. I'm just saying like something that there's just no coming back from in that scenario.
Like I think if Zephyrus knows that your spell is free, he's just like, oh, well, here's the lay on hands.
But he doesn't though, right?
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't read minion text. It only reads minion keywords, and it understands what Doomsayer is.
Yes.
That's about it. Wow. What a wacky board state.
I'd love to just go back and just look at that turn for an hour and try and work out all the cool things you could do.
That's kind of where my head's at.
Yeah.
We got to go to a quick break, however. We don't have an hour to do exactly that. And right now, Swidz up to a crucial 1-0 lead for him. He needs to start picking up wins to stave off relegation. So stay tuned. We got plenty more Hearthstone coming up.
Darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the mark. It's an ancient mysticism. There should be scorching deserts, adventure, monster of narcissism. High stakes think annihilation, obliteration of civilization. Now is the time to be brave. Evil's come to enslave, but this league's gonna save.
My name is Sam Braithwaite, and I'm the Senior Global Franchise Lead for Hearthstone Esports. This event was especially cool because it takes place right after the brand new expansion, Rise of Shadows. Historically in Hearthstone Esports, we do our big events like this towards the end of an expansion cycle, but we really wanted to shake things up and really showcase that not only is the world champion the person who can pilot the best decks, but also the person who, when presented with a brand new game, can put together the best decks leading into the World Championship. Cheers to you guys, the sold-out crowd here for the HCT 2019 World Championship.
Welcome back to 2019 HCT World Championship.
We've had a lot of fun games, and we're looking forward to the grand finals. Showdown. Viper versus Hunter Race. Only one can be the champion. Oh, come on!
Alex, match be dead.
Wacko pick a Vince coming out from Hunter Race.
It's now or never. Arch-villain Rafar.
Okay! In a completely solved game, Hunter Race finds a way to maximize his chances. It's been a wonderful journey throughout the past few years of the Hearthstone Championship Tour, where stars were made and dreams came true.
Welcome back to Hearthstone Grandmasters for Europe. We're amidst our third match of the day, and we're headed into game number 2 right now. I'm Nathan, that's Admiral Bullsmore, joined by Simon Asada Welch, and right now Swidz off to a 1-0 lead, and crucial for him if he's going to stay alive in Grandmasters, because at the 2-6 record, you got to start picking up wins.
Yeah, Orange over at the other end, 5-3. He's trying to chase down those top spots, but it's very, very easy to just paint it as being more crucial for the player that's trying not to be relegated. That's not technically true, right? Like the player just really does want to win and get to the top as well, but if you are looking down at that bottom, every game just feels all the more crucial. And when you are forced to play out a board state like we just saw in that previous game, where there's a million things going through your head. Like, I'm sure Orange was trying to keep board state full because of the threat of, like, you know, Druid of the Claw even being discovered off the thing, like Keeper of the Grove being played to silence his own minion and then go, like, all these things that Swidz could do if he had a board space. Orange, in the end, ended up playing the Voodoo Doll anyway, which led to a position where Swidz would have been able to do whatever he wanted, and in the end, it was the Zephyrus pulling out the Fireball that ends the game. Orange now back on this Mage. And well, that is the dream hand.
Go on.
Doomsayer. Shut down their early plays if they don't have a Topsy-Turvy or a Silence or a ridiculously aggressive start with huge Light Wardens. Zephyrus the Great. If it's turn 1 Light Warden, you can just backstab it and be ahead on board in the early game. Reno, I mean, does it need saying the card that does a lot of damage to big health on board is the card you want a lot of the time against Priest?
Well, your deck is only named after the card.
Sure. And according to some people, so is every other deck for some reason.
What, I'm lost? Am I taking a shot here?
No. You are on the side of truth and justice here. It's people that call decks that don't have Reno in them Reno decks.
Oh yeah, that's
nonsense.
Yeah, that's absolutely nonsense. There's like a 23-year precedent of what we call those in card games. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I digress. Orange has a fantastic opening hand for this matchup, and Swidz does not have a fantastic opening hand for the matchup.
We also learned an interaction from RDU a couple of weeks ago where he played a Doomsayer, he got it silenced, and then his Zephyrus hands him an Inner Fire for his Doomsayer, which is just not something that I'd seen before, but can end up being potentially huge in the matchup.
For Orange here, though, I feel like this is a Zephyrus potentially get ahead looking situation.
Wild Growth?
I guess that's a big question, right? Like, how confident are you in your turn 4 being strong? How much do you want to get the Mountain Giant in play instead? How important is Zephyrus as a reactive tool? Again, interest does not mean action.
Yeah, my instinct certainly said not to play it there, but I was kind of interested when you said it, just thinking about the Wild Growth line.
So I guess this is a big question. If you Doomsayer now, and Swidz has a way to check this, do you buy anything back? So you Doomsayer and you're successful.
There must be a way.
How do you take advantage of that?
If you don't Doomsayer, you get to play an 8/8 next turn.
If you don't play an 8/8 next turn, you get to kill a 4/3 right now. It's right in a Psychopomp territory, though. So if that's the case, if you choose to Frostbolt, what that means to me is that you're willing to attempt to set up a Frost Nova Doomsayer turn.
I really want to play this Giant Conjurer's Calling Curve. It just speaks to me.
What do you risk?
Everything.
Everything.
Next question.
Well, I don't want to risk everything, so what's the alternative? I guess setting up the Frost Nova Doomsayer in the event that Psychopomp hits the table.
But I want to.
That was a tough turn for Orange. Like, something that looked so simple and straightforward.
Yeah, so memes aside, how big is the risk in reality if you just wait and play Mountain Giant there? You're risking Northshire Cleric being huge, right? Like, worst case scenario, Cleric, another injured minion and a Circle of Healing, and you're really upset. Yeah, no Cleric and just big board with Tolvir and Injured Blazemaster on the same board. You then respond to that with 8/8 go, and then you're taking, what, minimum 8 more plus Divine Spirits plus Inner Fires?
Yeah,
okay, all right.
It's a lot of disaster points is all.
Yep. I'm fine with it.
I think Mage is very good at fighting back aggressively, and I think that's the kind of line you should be taking. And the Ray of Frost being drawn here is actually a major deal for Orange's side. Like, I think you're pretty happy expending the Ray of Frost, but maybe you're happy just doing the one and saying, you know what, if they want to double buff an Inner Fire, like, they need that if they don't have Silence Topsy. If they have Silence, what that means is I have the Zephyrus for the Inner Fire. So now my question is, do you need to manipulate your mana to 1 in order for Inner Fire to be offered? And does that change the way that this approach happens? You know, if Swidz doesn't do too much to affect the board, Reno the Relicologist is online. Orange uses the 1-copy Inner Fire, I think, to account for the Mountain Giant in some way. Like, there is a lot going on with these turns. For Swidz, what's better than silencing a Doomsayer? Well, silence your own thing. Make it big and smash it.
Oh! It just got bigger.
I think you want to hold that. Ah, Reno's scary, though. But so is Polymorph and Voodoo Doll. So is Zephyrus.
There's 11 in play already as well.
Yeah, but you're just not going to have any health left if a Reno comes down.
What, you mean for the second Divine Spirit, it's not going to have any health left for like a rebuff? Is that what you're saying?
So if you don't buff it now, and Reno the Relic Ecologist came down, you're looking at a 1 health.
You have an 8-1, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost always you have an 8-1.
And that's not good.
It's pretty good.
Your opponent's at 28 and you have 3 cards left and no play next turn.
One of them's Bwomsamdi.
I think if Mage is able to run away with it, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And overwhelmingly, that's what we've been seeing happen. This is, statistically, in Grandmasters, the best deck in the game against Priest. As weird as that sounds. All the other decks that people say, this beats Priest, have a losing record against Priest. Reno Mage is 4-0.
I will admit that I think the Reno Mages have been running pretty far above X. Oh, my. Orange, if you would not have Ray of Frosted, things would have gone awfully. And for Swidz, I think things are about to go awfully. The other thing, too, if you build a big minion, I didn't even think about this till just now, but the offensive Conjurer's Calling.
Yep, on a 2-drop. On an already overstatted 2-drop.
We're seeing in America's, Firebat brought this deck. He's included a copy of Ironbeak Owl in the deck as well to help fight back. Like, Reno Mage, I think, might be the truth against this deck.
The Ironbeak Owl in Firebat's deck is extremely smart, and I want to give shout-outs to him for that. The Ice Cream Peddler, on the other hand, I'm not quite so sure about that one.
I hope he wins a game with Ice Cream Peddler. Gotta kick a man while he's while he's in that spot. I commend you, however.
I gave him credit where it's due. Oh, come on, you know me. There's always a however.
Quickly.
Swidz, what treachery is this? Are you clearing a giant? Swidz, you absolute madman. He's saying, I have to win through generic pressure.
Yeah, good luck with that. It's a pretty good board.
All right.
In the short term.
If only you could convince Zephyrus to give you backstab right now, you would have a clear.
What?
If you could convince Zephyrus to give you backstab, he won't. But it would be Elemental Evocation, Zephyrus, backstab the 8/8.
Yeah, I wasn't even looking at the Elemental. Right.
And reflect.
So is there a way out of it in spite of that?
So, okay, you Reno first. Your opponent is left with an 8-something. Then you Evocation, and then you play Zephyrus with 0 mana, and it gives you Silence, best case scenario, and it's back to just having 2 power on board.
I mean, Orange has got to be confident in this position right now.
Yeah.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Big Game Hunter, Master Spell.
Master Spell is massive. I mean, both Divine Spirits are gone from Swidz.
He didn't need to Evo for the Master Spell, though, so I'm wondering if he was thinking of something different. Again, I put a lot of research into this. The reason I was confident Master Spell would appear here is because there is a lot of attack on board, first and foremost, which is what it's interested in getting rid of, and also because there are additional cards being used to create these buffs. As a difference between that and an Armet board, there's no additional cards being invested into the Armet board being huge health, where in that case, there's multiple Divine Spirits and Inner Fires, and Zephyrus goes, oh yeah, you want to kill that.
Armet drawn on the Bwomsamdi turn. That is massive. And the Zephyrus just went down. And the Reno's not good enough right now. I think Orange is just suddenly in trouble.
I wonder what he was looking for on the previous turn. I'm not crazy, right? He didn't need. He had 6, so he didn't need to play the Evocation to get Master Spell.
Is he playing to a particular draw for 2 mana? Like, I don't see a draw for 2 mana that matters. You've used them all. Except Book of Specters.
Maybe it was just a, I don't know. I'm just going to give myself the extra mana to increase the pool of things that Zephyrus might offer me here. Alright, 5-1's pretty spicy right now.
The whole hand from Swidz is really spicy right now. No Divine Spirits left, though. Like, he's got to win through connecting with damage.
He does, yeah. But Light Wardens are the cards to do that with. Light Wardens with big health totals.
I think Orange was, you know, just hoping that the draw last turn and this turn were not High Priest Amet.
Right.
And the fact that it is a world of difference.
So then we have to go back and ask the question of, was
I wonder.
Zephyrus completely necessary on the turn it was used? Could he use just defensive Conjurer's Calling instead, just to take some of the damage off the board? Renoed and left his opponent with an 8-something, yeah.
Like, they don't have any more damage left in their deck.
Yeah.
It's got to connect multiple times, and you have plenty of ways to stop that.
Right. Like, that's not a guarantee. There is sometimes the disaster, right? How big was the... Yeah, there is a disaster world where both minions live there.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're still not dead, though.
No. Yes, Orange, that is just his hand. When you're out of Divine Spirits and Inner Fires, I just said it, Light Wardens are the minions that you need to bank on. No puzzle box in Orange's deck.
Fish for opposing Doomsayer? There's got to be a better way out of this.
Tortolan for Blizzard. Draw Flame Strike next turn. Still no. Well, you do have an extra 5/4 on the board in that equation.
Observe and reflect.
I still think there's a good amount of junk in this Tortolan, though. Yep, that kind of junk right there. It's game.
Wow.
Polymorphs a Light Warden. Does he live?
I'm just looking at Swid's face. He's like, what do I lose to?
Fine.
Oh, the Mossy Horror as well.
Orange gives it up, and Swidz 2-0 over Orange in this one. A crucial win for Swidz. RDU picked up the loss in the previous match, and he now separates the two of them.
Yep.
He has moved outside of that spot. And we're looking at, if 1 week goes super well for Swidz here, where he has a 2-0 and RDU does not, that's a massive difference with 2 weeks left afterwards.
And I asked this question of RDU, I believe last week, where I said, are you watching the other players around you? Like, does this come into your head? Because he was talking so much about having the right attitude in the situation. I was like, how much of that is, you know, ignoring what's going on around you? Or do you pay attention? Do you watch Swidz games just going, please lose. Just make my life easier a little bit. Just please lose. And he was very honest. He says, I know I shouldn't, but I do. Like, I can't avoid it. Like, it's the first thing that I look at. So, yeah, bad news, RDU. Swidz is making your life as difficult as possible.
Yeah, that's really bad news. For RDU, anyway. For Swidz, it's great news. And he ends up being successful in this set without really having to use either of the decks that I had my eye on in terms of his deck building. But either way, Swidz is ready for an interview, so let's ask him about it. Swidz, can you hear us?
Yes, perfectly.
Congratulations on your
Hi.
win. This is a big one for you to get out of that bottom spot in your division. I want to ask you first about your Warrior deck and your Warlock deck. You have Hecklebot in your Warrior deck, and you brought Murloc Zoo this week. Talk to me about what prompted this decision.
So Hecklebot in the Warrior, because first I don't play Elysiana, so Hecklebot I can equalize fatigue, like against a Shaman or something. And Hecklebot can, people are playing Druid, Melee Druid actually, so you can high roll with Hecklebot because it's a really bad matchup for Warrior. So you can win this matchup. And the Warlock, so I play Murloc because it was my teammate Maverick. He say, hey, why you don't play Murloc? Because it's good against Druid, Priest. It's really decent. But Murloc stuff is really strong overall. And in Zoo, it's the best class for play aggro deck, so why not play Murloc in Zoo? And it's really, really strong, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so in game number 1 between the Druid and the Mage,
Yes.
that was completely crazy from our side, and we could see both hands. But like, what kind of situations were you considering towards the end of that game?
To what?
When you were just getting your board frozen turn after turn by orange.
Yeah.
What was
it
your?
was really... I don't know. I was really afraid if freeze the burn and I don't know, like play the freeze, Shadow Flame. He play Alex Straza for 1, Shadow Flame, and clear off the burn. And yeah, it was a super stress game for me because if he had the best answer, he won. But I won.
And so now, with your record being ticked up a notch and going into rematches for the rest of Grandmasters here, is there anyone that you're looking forward to playing again, or someone that you're not looking forward to playing again?
If I want to play against him, I don't know.
So against your next opponents, they are rematches. Is there anyone that you want to play against or do not want to play against?
No, I don't care. I just play against everyone and try to win.
All right. Well, Swidz, you got the win here this week, and a pretty impressive-looking lineup with your Warlock getting banned away, and I'll consider that a win. Congratulations, and I'm looking forward to seeing your next match.
Ciao.
Ciao?
Yeah. You've never said that?
No.
How have I heard this being on the west coast of a different continent? And you being closer in proximity, as you said earlier.
It's just weird to me to like. He speaks one European language and then signs off it. It was just bizarre. Just fine. Don't worry.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think you're bizarre.
He's a man of culture.
You're not Bizarre Bob though.
No.
Or Bob the Bizarre. Let's take a look at the standings and see how things are shaping up, because that was a big match where the standings are concerned. He now separates himself from RDU, ties himself with Viper, and is looking in these next couple matches he's going to play to start notching himself up, really stave off that relegation. And if things go super well for Swidz, he could find himself with a playoff spot.
Honestly, these first 3 matches for Swidz, this is what he would have been dreaming about last night. The loss for Viper, the loss for RDU, and the big win for himself. It's about as well as it could have possibly gone for him, and he's now right back in contention. And it's RDU that's starting to look slightly isolated at the bottom of Division 8.
Gotta pick it up, RDU. I think you're playing all right. But my gosh, something's got to give. Yeah. I don't want to start thinking about that again. It irks me a bit when I start thinking about the relegation process. No one here am I not going to be sad about. It's just any way you slice it. But that's the way it goes. You know, you got to have stakes in place, and you got to have some drama for